Okay, for those of you who are on YouTube, thank you very much. We tried to live to LinkedIn as well. Was only working on YouTube. It's one of those weird occurrences. And I was just talking with some of my friends this morning. They were asking me about restreaming and glitching and all of that. There was a glitch to LinkedIn, which was weird. The times were right, the URL was right. It just wouldn't do. So here we are. Thank you very much for joining the Job Scam Report. This is Mark Anthony Dyson. You want to know more about me and the Job Scam Report? You can go to markanthonydyson.substack.com. I have with me the HR Honey Badger, Russell Irby. How are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing well. And yes, I just confirmed that we are live on YouTube. So we're all good there. LinkedIn, I'm going to have to hit you up later. I'll rebroadcast it through Restream so that people can see it live, but if you don't want to go to YouTube. Otherwise, feel free to put in the comments there on YouTube and click the link there in the comments. So today, everybody wants to know about HR and what
Imagine
they're
that.
doing. What's that?
So imagine that.
Yeah, they're wondering, are they really tuned to what's going on? Are they blind to what's happening with candidates and applications and that whole things? We're talking about job scams, and we're going to try to keep it job scam related. But I know there are other things that are attached to it, like those jobs. There are things like fake employees, fake job candidates, which HR is constantly fighting. Find the fact that they're getting 1,000 applications or applicants per job listings. It's hard for everybody. So we're going to try to unwrap it all. Russell has decades of experience in HR. So he's going to help us unwrap it all. Are you ready for this, Russ? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I am
Okay.
ready. Bring it on.
Okay. All right. Let's bring on the heat first. Fake candidates versus fake jobs. And there's a lot of things that people are concerned about because now that we got the whole job report thing straightened out for now,
For now.
even though I'm interested what's been happening in the past 10 years, much less last 4, but we'll leave that alone right there. What kind of discussions are going on behind closed doors? You don't have to give away company secrets, but we're kind of wondering what kind of things are being talked about with HR in regards to ensuring that they're not getting fake applicants. And I'll start there first, then I'll hit the ghost job thing first. But I think people deserve some straight answers. You're the man to give it.
It's hitting it, like I said, on both sides of it. The fake jobs, the fake applicants. As far as the applicants go, some of them are real, but I call not real. You get 1,000 of them, 500, what have you. Right now, one of the worst things that's going on is this AI applying. People are signing up and paying a service, and basically it's spraying their application everywhere. If they hit 50% qualified, 60, 70, what have you, it's throwing it out there. And what that hurts is not only is it sending them to jobs they're not qualified for, so they're getting rejected again and again, but it's sending them to these fake jobs, which are all out there. I've been on LinkedIn long enough to know I've gotten pretty good at spotting them. They're scrapers, and some of the jobs out there, they are simply data mines. Well, one, they're getting information to sell, or they're getting information in order to identity theft. So when you pay these AI sprayers, it's sending your job application maybe to hundreds of fake jobs a day. So that means your information from your resume is going to people that are either going to collect it and sell it, or the worst thing that can happen, you have someone like me who has a background in investigation, security, and being the bad and the good side of it, and give me a week and I'll have your identity from the information on your resume. So how many people in a week's time have you sent your resume to that are about to steal your information and run a debt on you? So you've got those out there, but then you also have what we call the fake employees. And COVID hit it hard on this in that it allowed for a lot of Teams interviews. And a lot of companies have stayed with that rather than paying the expense of bringing applicants in. They might do that first round on Teams, but then they're like, we can save a lot of money. We're not going to do it. But you have, say, if you're using me, A North Korean company calls me, or the North Korean state calls me, offers me money. And what they'll do is they'll have someone that knows all the questions and can interview well. And that's what they'll be doing. They'll interview for the job. They're just going to use my American citizenship, my ability to get bank accounts. And they're getting these fake jobs in companies, these real jobs in a company, but it's a fake applicant. Now they'll have security access to confidential information. Might even have access to their complete computer systems, their finance. And then these state actors are just draining them. Or it could be an individual bad actor. So a lot of companies now are realizing, oh, we've got to go to in person, especially for final interviews, because with AI now, it takes it way too good. And you just got somebody from overseas putting forth the answers. So like I said, it's a fake actor, but like I said, the fake jobs out there, you'll see the ones even on LinkedIn or Indeed or wherever. You'll see they'll have 400 applicants. It'll say it 400 applicants, and yet it's got the same job coming open 3 months later. So, okay, so they didn't get their people out of 400, and then it'll be again 3 months later, or even 1 month later. It's the same exact job. By now, they've collected like 4,000 applicants. They're not looking for an applicant. It's a fake job. Uh-oh. Can't hear you. Lost volume.
Trying to drink. I was still trying to drink without sipping in somebody's ear. I think people are concerned because they're seeing the fake job, the ghost job, and a real job all in the same listing. And when they don't hear anything, anybody recognize anything, they're seeing like the emperor with no clothes, in the sense that all these things are going on. You're the one that should be embarrassed. People have to do a lot more diligence than they ever had before.
They do.
Because and they've got to vet everything and everyone, just as an employer is going to do.
We've gotten lazy. We've gotten used to the digital computer world, doing it all. I remember getting an application, filling it out, and then having to drive it or take it somewhere. Now it's just click a button and move on, click a button and move on. Or at worst, upload your resume, click a couple of Title VI buttons and move on. No one's really looking. They're putting in 100 applications a day or 20 applications a day, however it is, 100 applications a week, and they're not doing due diligence. Or people are stressed. I was 2 weeks from being homeless. Here I am, almost 30 years experience, multiple advanced degrees, worked for high-level companies. I was 2 weeks from going homeless because 18 months of no job. Bills are there. Bills don't stop just because of that. And God knows if you're in Mississippi and on unemployment, if you max out at $600 on, what was it, $300 a week, so it's $1,200 a month, and that's supposed to be what a family of four lives on. And there's a lot of folks out there like that. So when these bad folks say, hey, I've got this job, and they look good, the picture looks good, and the first look looks good, people jump in. They're not doing due diligence. They're not looking in deeper. We talk about a lot. You got a lot of hijacked accounts now that look nice, but if you got to dig deep in order to find it. Our buddy Jay specializes in finding those bad companies, and there's just thousands of them out there that are just waiting to scam you out.
Not only that, but I think that this information get passed on from every new generation of job seekers onward. We're not talking about like 25-year generation. I'm talking about every 2 or 3 years, the next person, the one person that finds a job by applying to 200 companies in a month is saying that's the way you find a job. No, you got to be much more intentional. But the bad part is the punchline now is the more jobs you likely are applying to blindly, in the sense that you're mass applying, you're spraying and praying for whatever it's worth. You've applied to ghost jobs and you've applied to fake jobs.
Yep.
Possibly half of those might be legitimate jobs. So really, to really land in 200 companies' hands, you've got to apply to 600 jobs, which The math doesn't make sense in some ways, but that's how it turns out. And
This
there's
job
no
market
telling. I
is
was just reading. I was just reading on the Newsweek article that came out this morning. It said, according to a survey, and I forgot who did the survey. And mind you, yeah, I understand we've got to take into account who does the survey. But
yeah.
one survey that they quote said that job scans have gone up 1,000% between May and the end of July.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, and I know depending on what you're using for data to cut off, probably it's 1,000. But whether it's 1,000, it's bad if it was 100 even.
Yeah.
But for it to be 1,000, we know it's pretty bad because we see what's out here on the streets, not just
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, but talking to people who are unemployed, people who have layoff PTSD and unemployment
Yes.
fatigue and all these things that haven't been clinically diagnosed properly yet, but we know exist because you could feel it. You could feel it in the
Yep.
air.
I have it. And it doesn't stop. I've posted about that. Get a new job. I'm solid and they love me here. I've relocated. And then I get an email from my boss going, hey, come upstairs. I need to talk to you. And immediately I'm going, oh God, I'm about to get laid off again. Because that's what's happened so many times. And I'm up there and I go up there and he goes, hey, I need your advice on something. Can you help me out? And I'm like, can you just not tell me that what you need me for? Not just say, I need you up here now. Same thing, the privilege phone.
Door. Come on and knock on my door.
You know, give me a opinion.
Yeah.
And folks are that way. I've had other folks tell me that the same thing. Whenever a boss comes by, they're like, "Oh God, I'm about to get laid off again." It's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people, especially who've had multiple layoffs in multiple different ways, it's scary. Are there any kind of precautions you're seeing that HR has been talking about? I don't know if anybody really has implemented anything that's worked because I have not seen anything like that. But what kind of discussions are going on behind the doors about taking into account what people are experiencing?
And see, the trouble is, and this is one of the things I complain about. I've got a training on how to do a layoff properly because there are ways to do it. It's
Right?
never good, but at least there's ways to do it properly. But you'd be
Right.
surprised at how often HR is one of the last groups to be notified. And then we're brought in, well, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they're just nice about, and this is what we want you to do and you to meet with the people. And you're like, I've got what? No, what? And, or they'll say, hey, this is coming in 3 months and people are going to be asking about it, but lie to them. Tell them that it's not.
Mhm.
Then you're in that situation. If you did, the ones who are still there will never trust you. So yeah, I said that's a problem in the HR world is that you're expected to be this axe man and this heavy when a lot of times you were never brought in. Maybe if it had been, it could have been something else because you're used to dealing with the human side of the human resources side, how things could have been changed, but you brought it at the last minute. But there's how you can fix it, how you can do it better. There's trainings on it, but you never know when it's coming anymore. I've been in on them and I've been the one they said, hey, do this. And after I got finished, it was laying off like 40 different people. I got to my office and that's when they walked in the door and they're like, yeah, you need to pack your stuff too. So I was just needed to do the nasty work for y'all, and now I'm getting it also. I had no idea it was even coming.
Yeah.
But to try to
Yeah.
tell the employees that, they're like, no, you didn't. You're human resources. Of course you. If I knew I was about to be laid off, I'd have been applying and looking everywhere for another job. I wouldn't have been sitting in my office going, okay, I'm good. So a lot of times we don't even know when it's coming.
Yeah. I believe that. My mentor and friend, Damian Burkle, had laid off 5,000 people during his career. A lot of it as a vice president of a couple of fairly well-known companies. And he's also hired thousands of people.
Yep.
And I remember him telling me a story that after he laid off like 1,000 people once, he was the last one to get the axe.
Yep.
And they didn't even tell him.
Yep.
So what you're saying is very real. And a lot of people won't empathize with the HR part of it unless they are in HR, unfortunately. But people do need to kind of see that it's also hard for the person that's doing the laying off.
Oh, it's emotionally destroying when you've
It's
got to let that
draining.
person. You know
Yeah.
them. You know them probably better than any because they've come to you with their financial problems before. You've got them on
Mhm.
EAP programs. You know what they're making. You know the most things about them personally, and then you're going to tell them they're laid off, even though you know that their wife is 2 months pregnant or 6 months pregnant, expecting
Mhm.
their second child, or they've just bought a new house because they came through you to get a letter to the bank, and they've got this huge mortgage, and now you're telling them, hey, you're about to be out of a job. It's yeah, because you're human too. It's just the most devastating. You gotta do it 40, 50, 60, like I said, maybe 200 times.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
emotionally devastating.
Yeah, absolutely. And so whenever somebody hears layoffs or possible layoffs, I'm sure their sick days are also going in. There's vacation time also be because they don't want to be even in it's kind of being in isolation with somebody with sepsis. You don't want to get too close because you can catch it too. In fact,
Yeah.
you'd rather get out. And
Mm.
even if you're helping, even if you're the proverbial nurse trying to help them, you don't want to be in that room either, and you're the one helping them.
Yep, and then you have
So
survivor's guilt, the ones that do get to stay.
yes,
They don't even reach out to the people that got laid off because they've got severe survivor's guilt. What do I say to them? How do I take this with them? Yeah.
and that's where LinkedIn can be great. Sometimes you do get people every now and then say, "Hey, use me as a reference, use me as a," because I'm still working, and they try to be. But sometimes people also have this. I don't want to see anybody. You may be good to me, but I just can't talk because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
They feel the humiliation and they feel the
Anger.
the weight. Yeah, they feel the weight. Definitely, I think if there's anything that HR can probably show is a little bit more empathy and thinking about, though I say HR is not the last word either
Mm,
in the
but
whole process.
a lot of times they think that this is an HR decision. HR does not make operational decisions. We are
Right.
consultants, subject matter experts in our field. Those decisions come from a lot higher up than I'll ever see.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is that's a hard job. I know people personally for years, and you had to be built some kind of different way to do it for years and years. From HR perspective, let's talk a little bit more about fake candidates and how they're entering the HR pipeline. We're not talking about just pressing the apply button. These fake candidates are getting interviews
They're getting jobs, not
and
just
getting
interviews.
jobs.
For
Right,
one, they're
right.
taking up the pipeline, for one. And a
Mhm,
lot of them are coming from overseas. In fact, I would say majority of them are coming from overseas. Mhm. They're perfect applicants because they're using AI. They're going through the job description. They know everything they need to say. They're not worried about the interview because the person who will actually be taking the interview will be a phenomenally have the background. They'll be able to answer all the questions. They're a pro coming in. They're like you bringing in somebody you got a street game of basketball, but you're bringing in Kobe Bryant to play with that's what they're
mhm,
bringing into this group. They're bringing in a ringer. So he should be able to beat everyone. He interviews great. Trouble in, a lot of folks that conduct interviews are not subject matter experts in the area. They've got questions
mm.
in front of them they ask. You might have one or so, but it's not always true. But this person's going to be brilliant. And with them not wanting to spend money and flying people all over the place, I may have applied for a remote job in New York. I'm in quote unquote Virginia. So they don't want to fly me in. So they do it all remote. And the subject matter experts answering the questions. And suddenly they've hired somebody from China, Russia, North Korea, India, or wherever. And now they've given them, by the time they bring them in, because I'm sending in my driver's license, my social security card, I e-verify perfectly. I give them a bank account. That's perfect. Everything I do is completely perfect. If they run my address, shows up. They run my name, they Google me on Google, and it'll show up that I'm a real person with a history. And then when they hire me, they're hiring this person that I got paid for, and that's how companies are getting burned. Now, if they do an in-person interview, they bring me to site, whole different set of circumstances. I can't answer the questions. I'm going to blow it completely. That's why
Mhm.
a lot of companies now are switching to that because they can't keep affording to bring someone into the network that's fake.
So the choice again is we're personality, which probably is all timing. But Do you see that it might be something that will reverse itself? That
I think I lost it. I think I froze for a minute there.
okay? You look fine now.
Hold up. I think I froze on it.
Oh, I can see you. Can you hear me?
I think I froze on you. Hold on. I'm trying to set it back up again.
Okay, all right. While we're digging into the technology aspect, and Russell, just let me know when you're back in. I think what's the scariest
Did
part
I
of
catch
it
it
all.
now?
You
Yeah,
got
wait a minute.
me, or sounds like you came back in.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I froze up on the
Now there's a
other.
delay.
Okay. Uh-oh. Do you see me now?
Actually, you're coming in twice.
Okay. Yeah.
You're coming in
One device
twice.
froze up on me. And have I got you solid now?
I see you now. Looks
Okay.
like you got two cameras going on.
The one froze up before, and then
Okay.
this doesn't froze, so I jumped on here, so I should be good now.
Okay. All right. We know technology is not perfect. You know,
Oh,
there are ways.
it's
So,
been no fun today.
yeah, I guess if you remember where you left off.
Yeah. The fake people coming in is costing the company dollars. So they're being
Mhm.
a lot more selective when they're going through. They're doing more due diligence, which of course also takes longer, and it's a problem.
Right. Now, break down what that cost may look like in general. You don't have to give line by line, but what exactly is costing as much to having to interview fake candidates, finding out they're fake, getting rid of them as fake? Is it just the time that's being spent, or is this much more than that?
It's a whole lot more than that because it is a time spent for one, and then having to open it
Mhm.
up again and go through rehiring process again is always expensive. But then you got the situation of, say you brought that bad actor in, and they get into your
Right.
files, and now they've downloaded a lot of your confidential, that's specifically your software, and now they've got it and they're selling it. Or if it's a company like North Korea, or a state like North Korea, they actually get into your finances and steal your money. And
Right.
nothing you can do about it. It's not like you can take and bring him in before the magistrate. So they've just got your money. Or if you've got crypto, it's even worse. You could be out millions, tens of millions. You could be out billions of dollars on that
Right.
bad hire. So companies have got, especially for those positions that are going to have access to the systems. And if it's a remote person, they are. And
Right.
just getting someone as a regular employee, then it turns it over to their professional hackers. But now that they have someone that can get into your systems, even if it's as a janitor, although janitor's not going to be a remote, but say if it's just an admin, remote hired admin. But
Mhm.
now she has access to systems. She has a sign in. Now it's turned over to a hacker in their country. And now that they already have a sign in, they already passed most of the walls. And so
Mhm.
now they can start draining, copying, and they may sit in there. It doesn't have to be a short game. I mean, the Chinese are known for playing the long game. So they might just get 3 or 4 workers in there and not even start doing anything yet. Or maybe have one and the other 3 just do nothing. And maybe there's promotions that come, or they've got time to wait for a couple to move on up to higher and higher positions before they
Mhm.
finally start enacting. So you're talking about trust, because all of a sudden, what if they steal one of the customer's information? Now that's not going to take long to get out. That can your company even be trusted? Because now one of your valued customers had all of their information stolen. Who other customers are going to come over there now? How many customers are going to leave you now? So it's a lot more than just the
Well,
cost of the hire.
and more than likely, one it's not going to be just a onesies kind
Mm.
of thing because with all the data breaches that we've seen in recent years, that there's millions of pieces of data that gets taken or gets exposed, as it says in the press. They don't say they're
All the
stolen.
customers, all the employees,
Yeah.
not even the people that you're dealing with, the company vendors. But every company keeps personal information on all their customers. How many people shop at Walmart? How many people shop at Lowe's?
Their shopping habits and their and what they buy. And really they're able to mimic and impersonate the steps so they don't
Yep.
look so suspicious through credit card companies. There's a whole hole to go down to. And I understand that are companies making it a priority to guard against fake employees other than having them to come into the office to interview.
I didn't think they were at first until it started to become a big thing and a lot of money is being lost and they were getting publicly embarrassed.
Yeah.
Then it's one thing, okay, we got fooled, we're going to have to hire someone else. But when it gets out on the news and they're losing, and suddenly they've lost customers and it becomes millions of dollars, then they're doing more. They are checking people's histories. Like I said, it's one thing to set up an ID. Give me a week, I can have an ID. It's a lot harder now than it used to be, but it used to be a lot easier. Now it's a little bit harder to get all that done. But do you have a history? So companies are checking more on the history. They'll Google you. They'll social media. God knows you hit me up and on Google enough and enough LinkedIn is there, or vision shows in the past, or what have you, it's there. So that's what we tell people.
But I was going to say, they're doing it more on the front end now.
Yeah.
15 years ago, they were just doing it as the last obstacle. Now it's the first obstacle. So the eye test that used to work back then to get your foot in the door, so to speak, is now the first thing that can eliminate you, especially if your reputation. But for the job seeker, they need to be concerned that somebody's impersonating them because they may have applied to the same company hundreds of times and they're getting blacklisted and they're wondering why, because that person's using their identity to bum rush all of these companies. And if they're using AI in a way, they can do hundreds of companies and apply hundreds of times. And maybe for them, it might be a numbers game that they could get through one or two.
That's all they need. Well, like I said, most of those folks aren't coming from here. It's not like someone living in New York that needs $10,000 a month just to survive. It's someone from India, one from China, someone from North Korea. The ones in North Korea, it's happening for the government. So, they're not needing it to survive. Same thing for the Chinese government. But even if it's not for a government, they need maybe $500 a month to survive. So if they can get one person to send them, or they can scam 3,000 to 4,000, they're good for months at a time.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment in the section. We can see you. We just can't do it on LinkedIn. Just so to remind you, if you're joining us, I know a lot of people are going to catch the replay as well. So we'll just continue on. So let's go. I think we covered quite a bit of ground there as far as the employee and the job candidate. I guess the part that we probably should dig a little bit more is the ghost jobs.
Yeah.
And how the ghost jobs are being that they're ending up next to the fake jobs and the actual jobs. We've already said that the company, you're going to have to go deep, but is HR considering what they're putting out there now, that they know what some of the issues are?
No real HR is putting out a fake job. Now, are there companies that do this? Yes,
but they call them ghost jobs.
That you're not going to fill. No, I've never done it. I don't know anyone that's done it. I know it happens in the field because I've heard about it. When it gets said, hey, post these jobs to make us look like we're hiring that way, we're being productive in the field, we're one of the players. I hear about that, but it's almost like Bigfoot. I've never known an HR who's done it. I've never known a company. I guess I see companies that do it on LinkedIn, but I've never been involved with a company that did it or knew of a company that did it personally. Every job we post is real. Every job I've posted from other companies was real, and we're working on filling them. So I don't think it's as much of the ghost jobs of companies really doing it. I think you got these companies that are called scrapers, where if I've got this job out there and it's a real job, what they're doing is they're reposting the job under themselves, getting people to apply, but I'll never see any of those applications because what they're doing is data mining. They may even post something that looks like a post of mine. I might not post on LinkedIn. I might post somewhere else only. What they'll do, then they will act like they are me posting on LinkedIn, and I'll never see one of those applications. I know Jay's done it, and I've done it. I've contacted companies going, hey, do you have this position open? They're like, nope. And it's open on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you see a discrepancy like that, you've got to question it to the end or even pass it up. And it's
Yeah. Or
possible
go
we
to
see
the
it.
main company.
But yeah, go to the company website, call them if you possibly can. But I think what it is, there's so many of them. There's a realization that people will likely may miss in a legitimate opportunity or two.
Yeah.
Because it's so confusing and there's so many illusions out there. It's like
Cool.
being in so you're in the desert and you're desperate to get some water and you want to see a puddle of water. Suddenly you see this image that kind of looks like water, and you've made the first inclination is you make it real.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with these fake jobs, these ghost jobs. You see something, it's too good to be true, but in your mind, you're playing tricks on you. It's making it real. But we're saying you need to go way past that point because that's how people get caught up.
We see those people that post messages to people, other people. It's like the CEO of Tesla, and it won't even be Elon Musk, emailed me about a job. So I'm applying. I'm like, for one, you should know who the CEO of Tesla is. And if it's
Right.
not Elon Musk, plus Elon Musk is not messaging you Saturday night, about a job he has in marketing. But these folks, like you said, they want it, they need it. They're almost homeless. They wonder about how they're feeding their kids. And they don't realize the dangers of posting to these fake jobs. And like I said, they'll take whatever they have left, or they'll just
Yeah.
slow play it, wait till they get a job. Maybe they won't steal from them now, and they'll wait till they do have a job. Like I said, some of these folks will slow play it and then hit them later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People have to reframe their mindset so that they'll see in a real when they see the real opportunity, they'll know that it's real. Because again, a lot of the illusion is they're playing on your stress, your anxiety, possible depression, the fatigue that you feel, the PTSD you may feel. All that plays a part of your psyche. That's why it's good to deal with that before you job search. And in fact, it's always better from that vantage point to find a job while you have a job. In a
Like
sense, because
you are hungry, same kind of mentality. No,
absolutely. And
when I'm
employers are
desperate to get
still
trouble.
and employers are still desperate adverse when it comes to candidates. They don't want to see anybody who's expressed a desperation. It was true in 2011. As I talked to a lot of folks when writing articles and interviewing people that were doing hiring, HR, and plus the clients that I had at that time when I was doing coaching and resume writing, they felt that way. So it hasn't changed at
Yep, and
all.
it's a business. If they know you're desperate, they're going to take advantage of you.
Yeah, data is a big business itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move it on a little bit. Let's talk about it's a multi-edged sword that layoffs and bias and other things come into play. Do HR leaders like yourself and those like you worry about leaving behind, like the old workers, the unemployed, the long-term unemployed, because of the process and how laborious it is?
These days, if you're even my age, then you should be up on AI. I can't really say that because I've only been doing it for about 2 years, but hopefully you can be in it now. My mom's generation, they're not, but that's in that 60, 70, 80 thing that might be out of at this point in time. As far as bias goes, it's out there. I know it's out there. I faced it.
Yeah.
Folks that know me, they've seen how I lost my emotional faith when I had a friend of mine who was homeless with the kids. When she was
Mhm.
facing that situation, when she was applying for jobs, couldn't get them. And then a recruiter actually said the worst thing, a headhunter, I don't hire unemployed people. I'm looking at my friend who's homeless, who was a vice president of marketing, ex-combat vet, best person in the world. And you would say she's not good enough because she's not employed. And that's the only thing you're holding against her is that she's unemployed. I just raged for days on that.
Sure.
It's out there, obviously, because the guy said it. Luckily, I wasn't
Mhm.
close enough to pick up a charge when it happened, but it's there. And there's HR people. I just got dealt with a situation that was out there for a couple of days that I posted about where someone contacted me and was raging against, I don't do Gen Xers. I don't do people that have this kind of diploma. And I'm looking at that was a a TA person. That was someone who was the gatekeeper that allows people to move to the next interview. They were saying it to me. And
Yeah.
I'm an HR executive, and they're telling me this is what I'm not going to do. I wouldn't give you a job because you're a Gen Xer and you have this diploma. So it's out there, and it's
Yeah.
blatant.
And that's funny you should say that because I have a talent acquisition friend, Kirsten, who co-hosts the show with me sometimes. That she heard that a lot. People forget the heights that they've fallen from. They forgot
Yeah,
that when they did the hiring, that when they were unemployed, they were hoping they would get a chance and they faced the bias. But when they got the position, all of a sudden they forgot what their experiences were.
yep.
And,
This
and
person
that's
was
real.
telling you're hoping to get an HR job,
Hmm.
and I'm shaking my head. I'm like, and yet you're firing off this stuff to someone who's connected to over 10,000 people in HR that do hiring, and you're actually saying this, and you're acting like it's not that no one's gonna mind. And that's the biggest thing. She didn't see
Yeah.
where it was a problem being biased.
Yeah. With AI is concerned, are there any tools right now that existing that kind of will safeguard against the AI surge of fake jobs and fake employees and fake candidates?
I think so. AI can tell AI pretty well. Like I said, just if you a lot of if you unless someone really knows how to defeat it, if somebody's using AI a good bit, you can tell. That's why even on college
Mhm.
campuses, even though there's things you can run it back through to maybe defeat it, AI is the best thing we have out there to find these AI fakes, simply because it
Mhm.
can do it a lot faster than I can. Now, as far as I hear a lot of it, AI is doing all of the talent management. They're going through the resumes. I never have had AI. Now, have I had knockout questions? Yes, I have. But even in
Mhm.
those, the person wasn't removed. The person was just dropped to the bottom. Most things I've had, and if folks saying you didn't use the right one, I've used Obsidian. Yeah, Obsidian, PeopleSoft, Paylocity, Paycor, ADP, Kronos, and Workday. So
Mhm.
there's not many I haven't used as far as the major ones. And in all of those, if I had a knockout question, the resumes would be ranked on what I was asking for. If I was asking for a master's degree, 10 years experience, even the folks that had a bachelor's in 3 years, they would be on the list still, but they would be near the bottom. They would just
Mhm.
rank them. So if you missed a knockout question, it didn't erase you. So I don't know of an AI in a system yet that does. I use Workday. We use Workday where I'm at. Every
Mhm.
applicant who applies still shows up. They might not show up at the top, but they show up. And it's one of our folks that goes in and says they're out. Or when they close a rec, they're out. So I don't think there's any of that kind of AI bias. There might be, I don't know all systems now. I'm not working with all systems, but I don't know of it myself. And now I've just been out there in the job seeker world. I've only been in my job for a couple of months. And when I was out there in it, trust me, if I knew of one, I would have been shouting it from the rooftops because I'd have been the first
Right.
one to want to strangle it. So that much, I don't think so.
Yeah. 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 These days, and Ashley and I talked a little bit about the whole idea of spraying and praying. People have done it for years, whether it's with resumes or with AI. I think people, HR people have seen enough, especially even if you've just been for HR short time. If you, of course, you've had extensive experience, that they could tell the difference between just the tone and the messaging, the difference between what's automated and what's in actual that somebody was more intentional about crafting the resume.
I don't care if somebody uses AI for a resume. It's a tool. And just like I
Right.
wouldn't go against someone that use computers to build a house. Just make sure you edit it and don't throw me something crazy because I'm going to be able to see if it's crazy. Use it as a tool, edit it by all means. Because if you're needing to tweak your resume for certain stuff, that can be hard to do every 5 minutes. Use the
Mhm.
tool that's ahead of you, but also look on it because don't hand me no fake stuff because that's going to be easy to see.
Especially when it's using an aggregation of a lot of other experiences, but it's not using yours. So I think people should come away. Now, I think ultimately, if we're talking about the different steps, people need to be very intentional about applying understand your audience, understand what they're asking, and apply accordingly. Make sure that your hands are touching every part of the experience. Don't let AI do all of the heavy lifting.
That
You're always going to edit everything that's going to be produced and shared. And it goes to the use of people's not understanding AI and the way that they're using it. And people always want something to do in automation and want somebody else to do the work for them. And
the lazy.
understanding instead of understanding the value of the intention and taking the deep dive so that they can get it right, because you're trying to appeal to someone. You can't, it's all like building a relationship. You can't be superficial through the second date. The first date may be the second date.
You know, almost everyone
People,
gets the first thing.
the second day is hard to fake if you were trying to automate it, so to speak.
That resume is only going to get you to the interview. And
Yeah,
the story
if that.
that gets you the job, they're going to know.
Yeah, if that. If it gets into the interview, if it's good enough. For a lot of people scrutinizing them, they're looking for the basics. And they're looking for the check boxes. And it's not necessarily if you check all the boxes, it's the ones that are going to weigh and matter most to the employer. Let's talk a little bit about, again, and going back to your experience as a job seeker, as a candidate, burnout play a part of trying to appeal to an employer that is also feeling some sort of way, having to sort through so many candidates and so many fake possibilities.
You do go through burnout. I've been there 18 months and 29 finals. That first final, I got this. I made it to the finals, top 10. And the fifth final, you're like, geez, why can't I just get that next step? Now, if I was just getting the first interview all the time, maybe it's me. But when you've gotten 5 or 6 finals, your resume's solid. You can interview because you've made it to multiple, getting to finals. But then, like I said, on the 28th final, and you're sitting there going, you just don't know what to do anymore. But that's reality in this job market that we've got. I know CEOs, CFOs, myself, like I said, 25 years in this field, and you're being told no again and again, and you can do the job. Like people say, I know I'm qualified, so do I. But that's where it gets into, you got to remember, if you don't get irritated when you go to Vegas, because you know it's a gamble. I guess people do get irritated. The odds are against you in Vegas. If you get mad because you lose, you're not being realistic. And so that's why I post a lot on that. If you get irritated because you don't get that job, you're not being realistic. If on a job that we're hiring for, I might pull 10 perfectly qualified, because you get a lot of perfectly qualified people these days. There's a lot of kids out there. I've got someone perfectly qualified, clicks every box. He's still only got a 10% chance of getting that job. And that's worse than Vegas odds, a 10% chance. If they make it to the personal interviews where we're going to interview 5 people on teams, still only got a 50% chance, not even a 50% chance at that, a 20% chance. That's still terrible odds.
Yeah.
And that's it. To that. Get to my final in the top 3, you still only got a 30% chance, less than half a chance of getting that job. And right now you're competing with the best, solid qualified, the best we could find out of the 10 perfectly qualified. And that's who you're competing against. And you still only got a 30% chance of getting that job. It's not your qualifications at that time. It's how you interview. It's your story. So you can't go back, I've got this and this. What stood you out about my job and my pain points that I need someone for? How did you answer? Okay, you could fix them. It's not about your qualifications anymore. And I can understand when you leave there and you didn't get the job and you're burnt out and you're mad, and it's because of I'm this age, or it's because I'm this gender, or it's because I'm this.
Mm-hmm.
Look for something because you know you've got everything to do that job. So there should be no reason why you didn't get picked. 10 years ago, you would have got picked. These days, no. It's timing and luck. Elliot Lee says timing and luck.
Right. So I think people need to learn to do more of not attaching their emotions and their value to the next job or the last job they interview for.
You
And
can't.
I think it also makes people start to see things that don't exist.
They do.
Again, your mind is playing a lot of tricks on you. But having said that, though, there is this fake job market that we have right now. And
Mhm.
it's fake again. I mean, I have colleagues and I hear career coaches talk about the hidden job market. I'm not going to
The
go into whether I'm not going to go into whether I think that's real or not, but I will go into that there is a fake job market because these jobs are actually in the marketplace. And one of the things I think I like to know from the HR point of view is, you know, that you work for legitimate employers and what are signs or what are signals do legitimate employers which applicants will look for before applying?
I said, look to see if you're qualified, because I can't tell you how many times I would have somebody come up to me and go, why didn't they get that job? And I would look at just one of the minimum recs and go, you didn't have that. But I could learn. I've already got 10 people that I already have, but
Mhm.
I'm worth the gamble. But I don't have to gamble. Why should I gamble if I don't have to? You're looking at that kind of a situation. That's the biggest thing that you're looking at is, do you all meet? If you're going to apply, at least meet it, because you're hurting you when you get the rejection. You're hurting me because now I got 5.
Your sound all of a sudden went out. Yeah, your sound is gone out. Let me, I think we'll catch up. We'll try to recap what Russ was saying. But I think, yeah, the idea that for the fact that he's re entering the chat. So I'm not going to put words in his mouth.
Yeah, here I
See if we can get him back on. Okay. Hold on.
And you got me.
Okay, got you now. Okay.
Okay.
Lost in the
So,
first month.
5% of them would be qualified. And that's take up a lot of my time. And when they say, why don't you have time to give individual things? 90% of the people or 95% of the applicants weren't even qualified. So we're not even going to call it. So that's what you would wish people would look for. Be realistic. Like I had one that sent me her resume. She said, I've been applying for HR manager jobs and no one has even called me. I've applied to 100 jobs. I looked at her resume. I'm like, because you're only qualified to be an HR coordinator. But I've already been an HR manager. No, that company lied to you. You had no direct reports. You have a certificate in HR. You don't really have the experience. You've never managed anyone. Be realistic. I'm an HR manager, and then they block me. So be realistic about the qualifications. Be realistic about the pay levels. I need 100,000. That company doesn't care what you need. That company's going to tell you what they're willing to pay by what your qualifications are. So, it's a lot of that is being realistic in your expectations. That's what the companies wish. Now, like you were talking about, and I'll get into the realities of it. Are there jobs out there you can't get? Yes. And I'm one of those that's been behind the curtain. I'll tell you straight up, there's jobs out there you can't get. If they don't call you, if the company doesn't contact you, you're not getting that job. And we don't call it, we call it hidden job. We can call it whatever we want. There's jobs that go through networking. Now, that's not the cashier at the local Lowe's. That's those high level executive jobs. That's why you don't see a lot of those posted on LinkedIn. But at the same time, have I applied for jobs like that? Yes, I've been contacted by headhunters, but also being realistic. Say I've been a senior executive director of human resources before, and I have, but that was at about 500 people. Me applying to be the senior executive director of HR for Lowe's, I'm not being realistic. Same job title, but it's a whole lot difference being over the company of Lowe's and being over a 500 person company in the middle of New Mexico too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nuances to the terms people need to understand. In other words, for instance, you take the word manage, you may have told people what to do, but did did you consider them or did the company consider them a report to you? Did you do the review? Did you hire? Are you the last one to say that hired? Are you the one that have fired? Did you do those performance reviews? That's going to differ from company to company. Some companies don't allow their managers to do that because they have a super micromanager, director, vice president that does everything and every word that goes to them. But you may have had the title, but you didn't have the experience. And somebody that interviews you is going to be able to tell you whether they'll be able to figure that out by asking just a couple of questions, especially if they're real experienced. Yeah. So I think that people need to dig deeper. But again, people are better positioned when they have the job. And even better yet, and I've said this throughout the past 5-6 years. Job search is something you do as part of life now. It's passed all my tests as far as seeing how people are succeeding, that they've been able to get these learnings, get these experiences as part of their life, not when it's just time to look for a job.
Never stop. Well, I was going to say never stop, but never stop upskilling, never preparing for if the hammer drops.
So if you know you want management experience, you got to figure out some way to get it. Maybe your job won't get it. Maybe there might be a part-time job where you can get it. Or maybe there might be some volunteer experiences that you might, or maybe you have to start your own business to get the HR experience that way. And there's nothing wrong with doing all those. Again, people get settled in and they're entitled to all this training they get from the company, and they don't. And that plays a part of the illusion, again, in this fake job market, that don't get it. Oh, the job must have been fake. It must have been ghost. And they say, no, you just weren't qualified, and it's a hard pill for you to swallow.
On your executive CEO of a position, you check out the company, it's 2 employees. It's the person and their wife. Their wife is the president and they're the CEO. Okay. That's not executive experience.
No. And you know what? You can still have the director of people as a title, even though you're not directing any people.
So the longest you ever had.
Really, yeah.
I only had one direct report. That senior executive director of HR, I had one direct report. I had 32 HR managers that reported to me as an area HR. Title doesn't seem as lofty, but whole different level of work.
Yeah, and they're looking for something to get away with instead of digging in and getting the real experience to do the next job. Here's something that came up in a discussion, and out of the people getting thousands of resumes, and we were saying that we agree that they're fake, and there's some who don't even belong. So there's a very few. Are they reading the cover letters and emails and personal notes, the thank you notes? Are those things a differentiator these days between maybe a real employee and a potentially fake one?
I don't even read cover letters. I've read 2 cover letters in my 25-year career, and one of them was mine before I sent it somewhere. So I've never really understood them. I had to use one to get the job I've got now. But I think emails, thank you notes do, because, that AI doesn't know who to send thank you emails to. Like, say the position I got now. I've had interviewed by a 5-person panel, but also they told me who was the hiring manager or who was going to be my boss, and then who their boss's boss was. I sent thank you emails to them because even when they brought me to a visit, if they stopped and spoke with me, AI is not going to know to do those. AI doesn't send thank you emails. I send them just because it's the way I was brought up. If someone does you something nice, you thank them. It used to be notes or whatever, but now it's emails if good enough. So that is a good differentiator. AI can do cover letters. Excuse me. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day that said, yeah, we require cover letters. I'm like, that almost everyone I'm getting is AI created anyway. So why are you even putting that much into it? They're like, that it makes it more personal. I'm like, no, the AI created that. People are not writing all those cover letters when they can just go, hey, this is the job description. This is my resume. Match these between it. Give me a professional cover letter. and 30 seconds later, they got the cover letter. That's what's happening. No typing those out anymore that I know of. So that I would say wouldn't go far towards the AI, but the thank you emails or even the phone call, because I've called the recruiter back after the recruiter got me into the interview. I had my panel interview. I called the recruiter right after it's over and said, hey, this went, and I appreciate you getting me sent over there. I know I told you thank you before, but I appreciate it. That's not going to be AI. But that can differentiate you, because I might not get that job. But you know what? That recruiter doesn't just usually work for that one company. That recruiter is going to remember me because I called them back and thanked them and told them what a great job they did for me. That differentiates.
Awesome. Yeah, great points all the way around. I think that people you have to remember, the more human you appear, it will increase your chances. Now, that's not to say that you won't run across 10 others that are qualified just like you, who are trying to show that they're human just like you. I think the basics do matter, right?
Don't do it right, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I will remember you. If you do that, I'll remember you. I might not like you, but I'll remember you.
Right. The liking part is another podcast episode. But I'll touch on this. I know you've got to wrap it up here, or I've got to wrap it up for you. The one last question that I see, and I think is relevant to this big job market, is that there's going to be a lot of people who have more than a year as a gap between jobs. In fact, there are people, the people have had 2 or 3 years, but I'm just being generous at this particular, if they have more than 1 year. What do you recommend on how people should explain? In the past, I've said you should have some very tangible things that maybe you've learned, that you volunteered, but show that you're putting efforts in during that gap. Is that still good advice?
It is. Now, for me, I don't look at gaps because I've been there. I have some personal reasons. Also, I work with pre-release inmates, and you might say they got convicted, they got whatever, but I've worked with folks that are on the bad side of it, where they got arrested. They're in jail, couldn't afford bail. And 7 months later, during the investigation, they're cleared. And they just said, oh, sorry, our bad, you're out. They've got a 7-month gap. They weren't guilty of anything. They weren't convicted of anything. But if someone asks them, where were you? I was in jail. It's over. They might as well have been convicted.
Yeah.
I work with folks and I get asked the same question. And I tell them, I said, anything you can do towards volunteering. I said, even if it was inside, helping out in the law library, just put that on. You don't have to put it in the jail law library. Volunteered with or helped with GED, help people with the reading. Whatever you can put on there that you did something. For me, I did consulting while I was out. And I have enough HR experience, I can do that. When I was out of work for a few years, that was my choice. I ran a ministry. It wasn't a job. I didn't get paid much, but I had some money from those. Go and help out. Like you said, go volunteer. But I don't care about a gap because I've been laid off. I know folks have been laid off. I don't ask. And if I've argued on LinkedIn 100,000 times with other folks about it, who they live and die by the gap. But the way I see it is, when you ask me, hey, what happened in that year? If I now tell you I had testicular cancer and had to be out on medical, you've just violated my HIPAA. Because you had no asking me a question that's going to bring up my medical record. Or am I supposed to lie and say, am I supposed to say none of your damn business? No. Or am I supposed to lie? If I lie, then I'm going to be disqualified. Or tell you the truth and you violated my HIPAA. That's why I tell folks, don't worry about gaps, especially now. Since COVID, if it's a gap that's been even since 2015, ignore it. Because even if it's a big gap, say 7, 8 years, you know what it is. Was the mother probably had their children? You're not supposed to ask them if they're a mother or if they had children. That's another violation. So there's no return on investment asking about gaps. It's just nothing for the amount of pain or issues it can cause you. It's not enough you're going to get back to ask about it. So that's why I tell folks, just don't. It's about ego at that point in time. Don't ask.
This was a great session, despite of all the hiccups we had.
I enjoyed it.
I had a lot more to talk about. we're going to have to catch up at some particular point.
It's your convenience.
But I know that you're good. I know you have to go. I want to respect your time. People can contact you.
Oh, they can email me. I'm pretty simple on that. Russ_Irby@yahoo.com. I'm all over LinkedIn. I know there's no way to miss me there. Post on a regular basis. Message me. I don't think there's anyone that's contacted me that I haven't messaged them back. I've worked with quite a few people on there that they'll ask me, can you look at my resume? Yeah. Can you introduce me to somebody? Yeah. I know it. I've been there. So whatever I can do to help, it's there. Can I tune down my rhetoric? No.
Don't change. Whatever you don't change. Don't change. Thank you, Russ Irby.
Thank you.
HR Honey Badger. You can catch him there. In the meantime, the job scan report you can find on Substack.
Thank you for having me.
Spotify, Apple. Yep. And thank you. Getting you out of here. You guys stay scam free. Remember, clarify, verify, and don't just apply.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
Good day.